Welcome to the Keynon Lake Show on SIBN Radio. Keynon Lake is the author of the book My Daddy Taught Me That, published by Welcome, a social worker and activist. You can like this show's fan page at www.facebook.com/The Keynon Lake Show on SIBN Radio. Feel free to post any comments, questions, or requests for his book on the fan page. Now let's go into the studio with your host, Mr. Keynon Lake, and co-host, Marcus Select.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today right here on the Keynon Lake Show, live on SIBN Radio. And we have at the studio desk Mr. Keynon Lake, all the way from Asheville, North Carolina. Keynon, how are you doing today?
Thank you for having me, and I hope that the audience is enjoying the show. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes, sir. And on the last show, we talked about the effect that single mothers have on raising male children and whether or not they are aware that it is creating a plethora of issues regarding the patterned behavior that the child now takes these adopted skills over into adulthood is creating a cultural and a community problem. I want to give you a chance to elaborate more on how these situations, these catch-22s carry over into the child's young adult life. Elaborate on that just before we talk about resolutions to this issue.
Well, Coach, like you said before, we've been getting a lot of feedback on the last show about, this particular topic. And first of all, in all my shows, but I want to say this again, particularly for this show, again, all my single moms out there, you guys are doing a wonderful job. This is no way to bash you or try to demean you in any kind of way. This is just the opportunity for myself to put out some things that I see being a social worker, an activist, a community leader working with youth and young adults in Asheville, North Carolina. So there are a lot of things that I see, and I want to try to address it because these are just things that are not happening here in North Carolina. They're happening throughout the entire country. Now, the effects, Coach, on what we talked about last week, and a little bit about what we talked about last week, is how single moms tend to kind of spoil the males in the home. And when these single moms, whether it's and the excuse that they said, or the not so much excuse, but the statement that was made was, what if you have a child that was a good kid? This young man is doing everything right, not doing anything wrong. Well, part of it, and you made this very clear in last week's show, Coach, was that being able to give young men things without them earning it is not so much a good thing all the time. Mm-hmm. You can't reward a child every single time that they're doing something good and think that that's going to be okay. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of times too, Coach, and I meant to mention this in the last show, is that sometimes I think moms feel like, they're dealing with a young man, and they are, but they're dealing with a man, and it's like, okay, you know what? I think we all as parents have the attitude to, I want my child to have more than what I had, and I'm going to make sure that if I can't give it to him, or if I can give it to him, then I know he's not out stealing it or getting it in any kind of illegal way. And me personally, I think that's the wrong attitude to have. I think it puts up a whole lot of problems, presents a lot of problems for our youth.
Well, it sets a premise. It sets a premise too for the parent for performing on a level, materialistically speaking, that they may not be able to measure up to because the child has other needs. So you're exactly right.
And exactly, but Coach, you also have it too. You also have it set up like this too, where the child also develops, bad behaviors. Like, for example, when you have a drug addict, a drug addict, their main, they start off small, and but before long, I think the purpose from what I know about drugs is their main goal is to reach that first high. When they got that first high, they use and use and use until they can reach that first high, and then they become addicted, and then it becomes to where they need to, physically they have to have that so they won't be in pain. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, I have to have this drug so I won't be in pain, and I'm still getting high. I will never be able to reach that first high, but that's the concept. Mm-hmm. Well, it's the same thing. You have a young man, and you're giving him this. You're buying him 4 and 5 pair of Jordans and PlayStation and the scooters, and you're giving him money hand over fist, and you're doing all these things with this kid. Before long, this kid is going to say, you know what, I got to have this stuff. And what's going to happen one day when mom can't get it for you?
Right.
You know, like, well, I don't have the means to get it. I'm sorry. I can't continue to pay $200, $179 for a pair of Jordans. Because that's, I don't know if you know this, but that's how much Jordans cost now, $179. So, so you're paying for all these things for this kid, cell phones, shoes, PlayStations, this, that. And it's like, when you do this thing without putting some type of premise in place where the child has to earn something, because that's what we're missing. These kids are not earning anything, and they feel like they're owed this. I'm owed this, and the world owes me this, and if the world's not giving it to me, then I need to go out here and get it some other kind of way. And it's like, that's not how it's supposed to be.
Well, let me interject this, that the single mother may be thinking, and I want to give the single mother some credit here. The single mother today who has a man that has walked out, left out, or hasn't even returned or ever came in the first place may be thinking this: I give my child things because I know he does not have a father. And I know that I feel bad for him that he does not have a father in his life. And so this is the way that I am trying to make up for his father having never been around, or being around and having left, or said he was going to come around and never kept his word, whatever the case may be. And so I want to give single mothers a credit on that. But here's back to Keynon, back to what you were saying. Here's the problem. Gifts have never been enough to prove someone's love. I need some help right there. There's just never been enough. You're going to run out of money. You're going to run out of credit. You're going to run out of patience because, like you said, the first fix wears off and it has to be double. And then that fix wears off and it has to be triple. And then that fix wears off and it has to be quadruple. So you are right on the way. But I just wanted to interject that I know a single mother out there, good, fine young mother out there, really, really trying. And they feel bad that father, that man, has not contributed anything or little, if anything, to that child's life. And so they're trying to love their child materialistically. Unfortunately, they won't be able to keep up with the status quo with that.
Coach, I'm glad you said that, and I'm so glad you said it, because that's true. There are a bunch of moms out there like, look, his dad is never around, and this is why I'm so glad I got the show. Because, Coach, it ultimately falls on us as men. It falls on us as men to be those providers, to be those care providers for our families and take care of our children. And when you don't have men, adequate men, I'm not talking about any man just with a deep voice and laying around the house, not pulling his weight and taking care of his family. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying men who are taking care of their children, who are doing the right things in the eyes of the Lord is what I'm talking about.
Right.
Now, with that said, Coach, I'm so glad you brought that point up, because this is what I hear a lot of. I hear a lot of women telling me that that the quality of men out there is less than ideal, and it's like, well, these men are not men; they're boys. They're not equipped to do this. They can't take care of this, and it's like this starts exactly what we're talking about.
Right.
When you have a young man who's been spoiled and pampered and coddled, his whole adolescent life, and then what you have is this. You have an 18-year-old young, like, for example, you have an 18-year-old young man, and he's been pampered, he's been groomed, but at the same time, Coach, a lot of single mothers, not all, but a lot of single mothers also put them at the head of the household. Okay, you're a grown man now. You're 18, you're grown. Take care of your brothers, take care of your sisters. You need to be more of a, you need to pull your weight more around here. And that's true. They need to pull their weight, but they're not pulling their weight as being financial. They don't have no kind of financial income coming into the home, nor do they have any real responsibility. So what you have is a mother, a single mom, taking care of everything in the home, funding everything in the home, buying the 18-year-old, 19-year-old's clothes, doing all this kind of stuff. But this young man is walking around feeling like he's responsible enough to be a man.
Right.
And when it's time for him to get out of the home and create his own family and do all this other kind of stuff, he's not equipped. So when he's not equipped, it's like, okay, you know what? I can't handle this. It was easier at home. I don't want to deal with this. I don't have to deal with this woman that's just trying to get me to be responsible and trying to get me to take care of responsibility. I can go back home, or I can do something different. So these are some of the things that I'm talking about, Coach.
You're exactly right. And like you said, and I like how you cushioned the entire two-part series on this topic, single mothers raising young males. I like how you cushioned it with the fact that we are not bashing, but we are encouraging, and we as men understand what men need. Now, and that's not to say that if a man is, and here's another, Lord goodness gracious, here's another one to think about. There are some men that are really involved with their children. They seek at every level to be involved, but because of the anger, resentment, bitterness, and unforgiveness of the breakup of the romantic, if we will, relationship, the mother or father cannot see a way forward to continue parenting the children or child that they have been sexually and materialistically responsible for. And so the child falls through the cracks because the lack of communication skill prevents the parent of the male child going forward, since the mother child normally has the full custody of the child, is my point. And so we have a catch-22. But as I said to all the audience that's listening, Keynon is in the trenches. The things that he's talking about, we're going to go to break here in a minute. The things that Keynon is talking about is right now almost real time. And if you're listening to this on demand, we're not too far from what we stated, and we may be aggregating toward a worse position culturally and community wise. And so, Keynon, the question that I want to ask you as we get ready to go to break is this: what's a parent to do? Oh my goodness, I should have asked what drum roll here. I mean, what do we do with a catch-22? Should we answer that when we come back?
Yeah, Coach. I think we'll go ahead and have a break and get on this when we get back.
All right, you guys stand by. You're listening to the sounds of the Keynon Lake Show live right here on SIBN Radio. Be right back.
We trust that you are enjoying the show. Stay right there. We'll be right back after these messages.
SCGPW. That's right. The Select USA TV Collabo Media Groups and Partners Worldwide for a limited time has opened up its membership to the general public. Now you can collaborate worldwide with media conglomerate SIBN Television and Radio. If you want to join free of charge for this limited time offer, then visit www.WeSupportSelectUSATV.com. That's right, we have programs, benefits, service, and so much more to offer to our members exclusively at SCGPW. That's right, visit www.WeSupportSelectUSATV.com. That's www.WeSupportSALETTEUSATV.com.
All right, we're back here with the Keynon Lake Show live and on demand on SIBN Radio. Keynon Lake has raised a question whether or not the sufficiency of resources are available within the character of parenting today as we look at females raising males. Is there sufficient resources? And the question before the break was, with the catch-22, what's a sister to do? Keynon, you ready for that one right there?
Coach, you know what? I think that's a great question, and it's kind of a very difficult question. And to be honest, Coach, I think what we have to do as a society. Well, first of all, let me address this as a single mom. I think for my single moms, I think that what I would do is make sure that you're aware that boys need to be less coddled, and that nurturing mother instinct that you kind of have, primarily when they get to be teenagers. I'm not telling you not to nurture and coddle your child and be a mother, but I think as when they get to that age, you have to be a little stern on them and make sure that you're not getting caught up in giving and giving and giving, whereas you're not making it that this child needs to earn and setting that example to where, okay, you know what, as a mom, I need to make sure, I know my son is doing well and he needs this and he wants this, but he's going to have to find a way to earn it. And also making him aware that that he needs to get out here and get a little part-time job here and there. Being able to instill those things in your son.
But it's essential. But
I think overall, Coach, did you want to follow up on that, Coach?
Yes, I was going to say. In addition to that, it's essential that in order for that, what Keynon just said, to be more impactful, the parent has to couple it with the fact that there is someone somewhere where this child can see the model of a man in our community. And with that, you know what I'm saying? Show him a picture of what a man looks like for real.
I think that's very important, Coach. I think that if you don't have one in your family, I think that's very important to find a man who's doing positive, productive things. Mm-hmm. And again, that phrase, iron sharpens iron. Even have your child around positive males who can instill certain things in them that maybe a woman can't. Mm-hmm. Now, overall, Coach, this is what I think. And this is what I'm trying to do. As a society, as a whole, I think we have to, first of all, we have to understand that the women, the single moms have so much pressure on them. They're carrying such a burden. It's like they got to be the moms, they got to be the dads, they got to be this, they got to be that. This year alone, I've never seen so many Facebook posts and congratulations to mothers, where they're saying, happy Father's Day to you. You're a great mom and a great father. It was amazing how many Facebook posts I've seen to single mothers who are getting happy Father's Day as well. So I think as a whole, Coach, we got to get back to where we're taking the pressure off mothers and allowing them to be exactly that, mothers. I think just naturally, Coach, being a woman, being a man, women have an innate responsibility to be a mom and do that, be the nurturer, be the you mentioned earlier the ones protecting and dealing with the home. Mm-hmm. We're getting outside of the point where we're asking them now. Like, for example, I just mentioned earlier. Now we want you not only to do all the things that you're supposed to do as a mom, but we want you to do other things too, which is that man's role, that man's responsibility.
Listen.
So I think we have to get back to getting. What I'm trying to do is get these kids at an early age, teach them and raise them up right,
and
let them know, like, look, you got as a man, these are your responsibilities, and as a man, you got to hold up to your responsibilities.
But Keynon,
that way, go ahead, Coach.
The question that I have for you, Keynon, is this: while all this is true, I got sisters, beautiful sisters, queens out there listening to us right now who continue, and I'm finna go into very dangerous territory right here, Keynon. I'm finna go into dangerous territory. They continue to open their intimacy moments to men with no commitment, and though they have the earnest down payment towards their children's development, I felt something right there. They are compromising that development for a moment of pleasure with men of no commitment. Keynon,
you are getting into some dangerous. I mean, a lot of times, and this is the thing too, Coach. This is it in a nutshell, Coach.
Oh, goodness.
I mean, and this is it. I mean, this is just. But anyway, first of all, if I was a woman, okay, if I was a woman and I was looking for a male or a mate, to be with and to get serious with and get involved with, I would first make sure that he came from a family who had a male in the home. Like, he would, and I don't mean no disrespect from any single mom out there. I really don't. But being able to have that male see what it's like to be around other men, what it's like to have a man that knows how to treat women, I think that's very, very important. I really do. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. The other thing is this too. A lot of people will say, well, she knew this man, she chose this man, she knew he was a deadbeat dad, or she knew this, she knew that about him before, she chose this, so she's suffering or, reaping that mistake that she made. And it's like, well, you know what? No person signs up to be a single parent. I don't think you go into this thing like, well, you know what? I'm looking for the perfect man that's going to let me raise my child alone. That's not how it works. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But I think that you have to be, what you said, Coach, you have to be responsible enough. And I put this in my book, Coach. Women have to get away from that type of, I don't know, that behavior or that type of whatever you want to call it, where it's, what she won't, what one woman won't do, another one will. And it's like, well, I better do this because if I don't do it, he's going to find somebody else who will.
Right.
I think go ahead, Coach.
What is that called, Keynon? What is that called right there?
I think it's that mindset where it's like women have been told this, over a period of time, primarily in today's society where you have the Nicki Minaj's and the rappers and all this kind of stuff like, I'll take your man and I can do this better than you and my girlfriend's better than yours because of this, that, and the third. Mm. And I think it's led our women to say, you know what? In order for me we already know women outnumber men, okay? So in order for me to get a man, there are things that I have to do, and if I don't do this, then I'm not going to have a man. And I think it's the opposite. It's like, no, if a man's not willing to respect you and be respectful towards you and do those things that men should do, like we just talked about not rewarding, your child, for being a good child. It's the same thing with men. It's like, no, if a man knows he can get away with certain things, he's going to do it.
Listen.
If a man knows that he can do this, he's going to do it. So it's like that whole setup, Coach, was like, what another woman won't do, what I won't do, another woman will. Well, if that's the case, she can have them. I can find somebody better.
Let me tell you another major problem, and I want you women out there that are listening to us right now to take this one and stick it in your head. This is going to be good right here. Male children, though they may not, our boys do not come into logic. We come into logic late. Things don't make sense to us. We act like they make sense, but they really don't make sense to us till late. But one thing that boys have that is not given enough credit to boys still have a protection mechanism that every man should be developing, every boy and every man should have for women and for family. And what happens along the path of chaos and confusion is that the quiet storm of a child's observance of a woman who does not have the proper protection herself, whose siblings, the boy's siblings, does not have the proper protection. I'm talking about coming from a man, whether it be in marriage, whether it be in partnership, whether it be a man just looking out for them, having given a break here and there. Boys have this protection mechanism that goes into reverse if it is not shaped. So my point about the relationships, the going to bed, the sneaking, the booth in the back, the clubbing and all that, these young boys, I'm talking about 6, 7, and 8, more so 8 through about 13, 12 and 13, they can pick up when that woman is not protected. She might have had a good time last night, but then he noticed the mother was crying. He noticed that mother ran out of money because she was busy paying some other Negro, bills, who is not doing anything, but the boy never says anything. And he picks this up, and within his own self, he cannot find a way to protect mama. And so he internalizes it through anger, through bitterness, through rebellion, and other things, through guilt. I can't do nothing about my mama getting beat. I can't do nothing about my mama running out of food. I can't do nothing about my mama. You see what I'm saying? They internalize these things, man.
You hit a great topic. You hit the nail right on the head, Coach. Those are other things that that we haven't even discussed in our conversation today. Where how young boys, you're right, they get resentful, towards that thing, and women don't understand that. To a T, it's like, well, look, why is my son acting like this? Why is my son acting out like this? It's because, first of all, he's not only resentful because of how this man is treating you, he's resentful because you're allowing it. Right. You see what I'm saying? And that's something that we have not even touched on, Coach. It's a lot, and like I said again, I hate to put all the burden on the women, but the fact of the matter is, women are the ones raising our kids, Coach. They're the ones that's doing it, and we're on the sidelines right now. And let me say this too. I'm not trying to male bash how many, because you've mentioned this earlier, Coach. There are some good men out there raising our kids and helping, putting forth their effort to do what they can. But the statistics and the numbers show that it's not a lot, and it's particularly in single. In single-family homes, the numbers are very staggering as opposed of how many females are taking care of our youth as opposed to males. So,
Keynon, you opened up Pandora's box. The question, let's pose it one more time because I want you to give the Twitter after I pose the question. The question is, single mothers, as you raise the males, I'm going to form it like this. Are you feeling that you got enough resources to get the job done? Because the statistics are showing that the males are coming out with a lopsided development, not because mothers are not doing their job, but because fathers have not stepped up to do their job. And irregardless of a woman saying that she needs a man or not, that doesn't negate the DNA factor that the child has been created to need both male and female input. Keynon, give them the Twitter so they can respond to that question or that dilemma on Twitter.
The Twitter is the KL Show.
All right, and we're going to take a small break. Keynon going to come back and wrap things up. This is a hot one. Stand by.
Couldn't fight for themselves. Whether on my block or around the world. My name is First Lieutenant King, and I move toward the sounds of those who are in need of help.
The few, the proud, the Marines.
Entry invalid.
Mode. Mode. 5 seconds.
The Windows Phone 8X by HTC on Verizon. It features easy-to-navigate live tiles that are simple to customize. Just pin what matters most right to your home screen. Exclusively with DataSense, a feature that makes the most of your plan. Only on Verizon.
Well, Mr. Keynon Lake, time goes by so fast when you're having fun. Give them the website, some information where they can contact you, man. And the first step would be to contact My Daddy Taught Me That. Give them some information.
Okay, Coach. Can you hear me, Coach?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, the website is mydaddytaughtmethat.com. I'm on Facebook at the Keynon Lake Show. That's my fan page. I have another fan page, which is My Daddy Taught Me That. And then I have my own personal Facebook, which is Keynon Lake. I can be reached also and followed on Twitter, which is at the KL Show, and I can be reached via telephone at area code 828-582-2261.
Yeah, these issues that we're talking about today there's no one solution fits all. But listen, these challenges are not going away. They become even more complex in our culture. When you add sexual identity, when you add workplace ethics, job retention skills, when you add secondary post-educational issues, these issues become very complex. So we want to encourage parents out there that the Keynon Lake Show is not about necessarily just announcing the challenges and the problems, but offering resolutions. And I want to encourage those of you that have not read the book, My Daddy Taught Me That. This is a great resource for you to be able to have a starting point. Everybody, when change happens, Keynon, check me out. You got to start somewhere. You're going to feel overwhelmed with the problems, the issues, the challenges, and all that. But you got to have a starting point. And I think that mydaddytaughtmethat.com is a good starting point. Keynon, wouldn't you say that would be a great place to start?
I think it'll be a great place to start. I think, first of all, Coach, being able to, and this is something that we address also with what I do, families and people have to know. You have to, first of all, know, and if you know, you can do. So if you actually know, and I think the book provides a lot of information about knowing what's going on out there, being able to be aware of what's going on out there, then you can start addressing the problem and fixing the problem. Like you mentioned just a minute ago, Coach, we have an uphill battle. We're going to get there. We're going to be able to make it happen. We're going to be able to do some wonderful things because I think we have enough people who are adamant about making change. But with that being said, families, parents, you have to reach out. You have to not be afraid to say, I need help, or I want to be able to have services provided for my child, son or daughter. Mm-hmm. Once we get to that stage, Coach, where everybody can buy in and realize and know that there is a problem out there and be aware of it, I think we can overcome some of these obstacles.
And listen, Keynon can testify, and I can testify, that boy children should not be allowed to talk about how much they feel this and feel that. Let's go on the record right now with this one right here. You see what I'm saying? Because our fathers did not tolerate us talking about how we felt. Now, there's a time and place for it. But children is not, the DNA of us men children is not feelings. It is to be able to offer resolution, protection, to offer provisions, to get up and get something done. I need some help, Keynon, on that one right there. Final thoughts, Keynon. You take it away.
And I like what you said, Coach. And to kind of elaborate and piggyback on what you said, and it's not so much about feeling. I think we do need to address the feeling part. But I think what you're trying to point out and say is this: we should not have our young men being less than that and being what I want to. And I guess what I want to say is being lazy. Mm-hmm. We need to have our young men being able to say, stand up, to be men. Because that's what's going to happen. And if they're not prepared at an early age, 14, 15, 13, at those ages from that adolescent stage, if not prepared then they're not going to make prominent, productive men in our society. So, yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Coach. Being able to feel, have their feelings heard and addressed is important. Mm-hmm. But also, at the same time, being able to say, you know what, I understand how you feel, but you need to get up and get out and get something and do something. You can't sit around here and be lazy. You can't sit around here and wait for mama to do it. We need to make sure you're doing it, because what's going to happen when it's your time to get out here and be responsible? And that's the key, Coach. Being able to hold our youth and our young kids accountable for their actions and being responsible for what they're doing is the key.
Well, Keynon, we all out of time. You've been listening to the Keynon Lake Show live on SIBN Radio. Keynon, thank you so very much for your input on this topic. Young single mothers raising male children. Very great topic. I don't know, it sounds like some ammunition for a book, but whatever happens, visit We support Select USA TV to continue helping us get the word out about the Keynon Lake Show, and visit www.mydaddytaughtmethat.com, and don't forget to order your copy of My Daddy Taught Me That right there on Amazon or anywhere books are sold online. This has been the Keynon Lake Show, and until next time, whatever you do, model the behavior you want your child to be able to share with the world. This is the coach. I'll be right back. Keynon, stand by.
Thank you for joining us today for the Keynon Lake Show. We know you will be empowered as you consider the content shared by Mr. Keynon Lake, co-host Marcus Select, and our guests. For more information about Mr. Keynon Lake, please visit www.mydaddytaughtmethat, and feel free to email us at lake@mydaddytaughtmethat.com. Books can be ordered from Mr. Lake by calling 828-582-2261. Until next time, you've been listening to the Keynon Lake Show on SIBN Radio.